Hey, my name is Brett Mullin. I live in Chattanooga, Tennessee. This is my testimony about how God changed my life. Well, in 1975, I went to Nashville, Tennessee to play in the United States Junior Amateur Championship, golf championship. I had been trained and programmed all my life to be a golfer since I was born. Not of someone else's doing, but so much as mine, because when I saw it on TV, I fell in love with it. After a long junior career in Southern California, and I was very successful. I'd won over probably 100 tournaments, and everything was focused toward this one tournament, the national championship, and I had my mindset that I was going to win that tournament no matter what. And that was kind of the beginning of the end for me, because I won it. And a month later, my dad was dead. Couldn't quite understand that, considering he was my only coach. But I'd started school at Southern Cal and had a full ride. Started in September, my dad died in October. And from there on, it was kind of a new start for me. I didn't have him to watch over me. So, like any college kid who didn't have any guidance or had not been able to rely on anybody but your coach, I developed some bad habits and got involved in alcohol and drugs, and within a couple of years I quit school and I wasn't playing well at all. In fact, within 4 years I'd given up the game. And it wasn't until I met my wife that I decided to play again. That was a few years later. And with her encouragement and prayers, she was a Christian, and I'd never been raised in the church. And the other thing I had going for me was I had a 90-year-old grandmother praying for me. And if anybody knows anything, that's powerful stuff. So I tried to play again and went out on the road, and pretty soon after a while ran out of money, and I decided to get in the club business. It was then my daughter was born, which was a blessing and a whole other story. She was adopted, but it was a blessing from God. Looking back on it now, it's hard to understand how big of a blessing it was, considering how awesome she is. But after getting in the club business, I figured, might as well be a club professional and be around golf anyway if I wasn't going to play. So you have to understand that I make the mistake that I know I shouldn't make, but I made it anyway, of choosing to partake in alcohol. And the reason I say it was a mistake is because I come from a whole family of alcoholics. On my dad's side, just about everybody on my dad's side is an alcoholic. So I was playing with fire. And after several years of being in the club business, I had become an alcoholic. My excuse was it was part of the job. Going on trips with members, playing golf with the members, having beers afterwards. It became part of my life. The only problem was it began to control my life. So, up until the last 8 years, I probably tried to quit drinking 20 times over 20 years. I tried to figure out a way to give it up. Every time we moved to a different city and I took on another job at another club, I'd say to my wife, this is it, I'm going to quit drinking completely. New start. But it wouldn't take long. And I'd be back in it. In my last job, I was pretty much full-blown alcoholic. I didn't let it affect my work, but yeah, I'm sure that it did. I was living a lie, so a lot of times you conceal things from yourself because you feel like you have to try to get by. And then one afternoon, I told my wife we needed to get back into church, and she agreed. And the next day she went to work, and I was home by myself. And I got down on my knees and I asked God to take this disease away from me, and that I would serve Him the rest of my life. It's hard to talk about. He showed up. And as many times as I tried to quit, and as many times as I was wanting to be out from underneath that chain and that bondage, couldn't do it. But when He showed up, He gave me a little glimpse of Himself. It's about all I could take. And I never touched another drop for the rest of my life, up to today. Never wanted to, never had the desire to. I was completely healed of the desire of alcohol or my body's cravings for alcohol. Never wanted it again. Because He said to me when I said, please take this from me and I'll serve you, He said that's all I wanted to hear. That's it. So I always tell people, yeah, I was saved back in my early 20s, but I really didn't know the revelation of who Jesus was until that day. It changed my life. So 2 days after that, I was let go from my job that I'd been at for 13 years. And I called my wife, and I was happy. I was excited about it. Because I told her we asked God to break us. We asked Him to change us. And now it's starting. And over a period of years, we were stripped of everything. We stripped of every personal belonging and anything I could latch on to myself, and He stripped us of all of it. And then He began to build us back again. And not for anybody else's glory, but for Him. And now today, I can honestly say to people, that revelation of Him in my life is what changed me. And anybody that's going through any kind of addiction, you can be changed. Addiction can't be your friend. You have to learn to hate it. As long as it's your friend, you'll always want to go back to Him. But if Jesus is your friend, and you know that He loves you no matter what you've done, and I've asked Him 100 times up until that point, and now I've asked Him the question, why didn't I make it on the tour? All my friends did. I used to live with Craig Stadler and Scott Simpson and all these big-time tour players, and His answer was very simple and plain to me. He said, because I wanted you, and I wouldn't allow anything to get in the way of that. That shows you the amount of grace and mercy. And I'm humbled by His love. And I thank Him for it every day. And I thank Him for my wife every day, who prayed for me and stuck by me. And now we've moved on into learning that this whole thing's more about other people and not ourselves. It's more about bigger things than ourselves. This whole life. It's about Him. And I'm thankful to Him for it.